So welcome everybody. It's Judy Cohen and this is Wake Up Call 486. Nice to see you. So on Monday night, I got to sit with the working group for law and meditation, and many of you know we've been sitting together for a long time. In fact, when I wrote that on my notes for today, I wanted to go back and check the presidents. And I saw that we've been sitting together since Bill Clinton was president, which I don't even know how that's a thing. It just seems like a million years ago. Anyway, so on Monday night we were talking about the law firms. Those have capitulated, those that are resisting to the administration demands, which is another thing. I don't even know how it's a thing. But anyway, one thing we landed at was the obvious, which is that in a way it's an object lesson in the three poisons of mindfulness, which are greed, hatred, and delusion. Yeah, you know, the jaw-droppingly high salaried people acting in their own interest in keeping their huge businesses going, and yes, also interest in serving their clients and taking care of the people who work there. And the two aren't necessarily separate, but in acting this way, becoming, complicit in violating the rule of law. And we especially wondered what the people who are voting complicit are saying to their siblings, their friends, their kids who lead ordinary lives and don't have gazillions to protect. And wondering, if they're justifying what they're doing, or if they're defending it, or if maybe they don't feel like they have to. So I invited my law students to debate this yesterday because I figured they would figure this out. They would have a lot of good ideas, and it was perfect because we were talking about the middle part of the path. So wise communication, wise action, wise livelihood, right? I think I mentioned last week on the call about wise communication and this acronym that I like to use of thinking cap. So saying what's true, helpful, interconnected, necessary, and kind, and then listening with curiosity, attentiveness, and patience. So that's thinking cap. And then wise action, which is doing no harm and not taking anything that's not freely offered, or essentially not stealing, not misusing sexuality, not taking in substances that cloud the mind, which Thich Nhat Hanh taught us includes media, social media, advertising, anything we take in, and not just intoxicants per se, and not using unskillful communication. So it loops back to wise communication. And then wise livelihood, which also overlaps. So all of the above, plus not dealing in intoxicants, not dealing in poisons, weapons, or humans, and doing no harm. And that doing no harm is that big bucket that the law students anyway, they have an interesting time with that one. So I invited them to plug in these precepts and then debate the merits of complicit versus resistant, imagining they were partners at the table of one of the firms being hit with an executive order. And the resist group argued, here's what they said. The resist group argued that the firm should resist in order to stand by the rule of law, protect its reputation as a strong, independent firm so as not to lose clients, and because economically it would impact the firm more negatively in the long run to lose their good reputation than it would benefit them in the short run. They were very practical. The capitulate group argued, and then I saw a lot of them out in the hall continuing to argue after the class, which was kind of fun. The capitulate group argued that their duty to their clients and employees was paramount, that the work they were doing in federal court was too critical to abandon, and that pro bono work was per se in alignment with their values, even if the work they would be required to do might not be. Right. And this was just before the news broke about Steve Banks at Paul Weiss, their chair of pro bono, leaving the firm. So the two sides were debating, and they were using mindful communication and mindful action really beautifully, I'd say. And we were kind of coming to a close. And then one person in the complicit group, and this is a younger person. This is a person in one of the younger years. I think they're either a 1L or a 2L. Said, kind of took the stage, if you will, took the room. And in a moment that it was clearly had not been rehearsed, said, we're placing too much focus on values. If we're being truthful, we didn't come here for that. Remember, the context is this big firm. We didn't come here for that. We came here to grow the firm and make money. And there was pretty much general non-cynical agreement to that. And by the way, if there's anybody here from class, I'm just kind of looking and I've mischaracterized anything. Forgive me for that. But I don't disagree. And I'm also trying to not be too cynical about it, because I feel like, this is a place where folks are feeling like they need to live right now, in a moment where there's a need to protect what we have. And if that means making concessions on values for what this perception could be like a short period of time, then I think people are doing that. And I just have this curiosity about if maybe this is one element of the way that democracies fall. So that's that. And then I wanted to shift into a love story, because in the middle of all of this moment, which is so anti-diversity, anti-equity, anti-inclusivity, and of course that's some of the pro bono work that these firms are agreeing to do, right? A beautiful thing happened. So we have a friend, benefactor, and they slipped into the U.S. 25 years ago without any documentation, raised some kids, watched the older one graduate from college and become a medical professional, and just found out that the second one, who graduates from high school in June, got a full ride, tuition, room and board, transportation to Princeton. And so there have been a lot of tears of joy in the neighborhood. And, there's no doubt that the kid made this happen. This kid deserves this scholarship. They worked insanely hard. And this entree into this elite institution. And obviously there's no legacy, obviously, right? So they did it 100% on their own. And I think of this friend who worked herself to the bone, but with so much gladness to be in this country, right? And reported every drop of income and paid every tax, and is sending her youngest off to Princeton on a scholarship. And and the kid wants to be a lawyer. So this is our country right now, right? It's a place where many people, including partners at huge law firms, feel unsafe and are making choices because they feel unsafe. And yet it's still someplace where somebody can slip in, raise a family, watch their children rise to the most elite top of the ladder. And of course, I get the irony, right? Because in both cases, the law has been broken. So, anyway, Princeton is flying the parents and the kid out for New Student Week, and the parents are going to be in peril because they're flying with only a driver's license. So, send some metta towards Sonoma and towards the flight between here and New Jersey, and that they get out there and back without incident. And I talked to this friend, and she told me that, she said, it's okay. She said, I'm not ready to be deported, but if I'm caught, she's not ready to be deported because she wants to mother these children for many more decades up close. But if she's caught and she's deported, she said, it's okay. I feel like it's a job well done. So So we have these law firm partners who are taking home between I don't know, $800,000 and $5 million a year in some ways of looking at it. I looked it up. And they appear to be motivated by greed, hatred, and delusion, or fear, or all of the above. And then we have this person who's motivated just by love. Just by love. To do this incredibly hard work of the world so that one of their kids can rise to the top. And maybe, since she's going to be a lawyer, run this old tired world one day. So, that's my story for today. Let's sit.